I want to make sure you guys get the most amount of time with Adam and his brain, because any spare time, I'm happy to pick it as well. As I mentioned, we are recording, so please be aware if there's anything you don't want to be recorded, feel free to leave that till the end of the session and just let me know if you would prefer that not to go up. But guys, welcome to week 4. So we are here talking about systems for lead generation, but a lot of those pieces are, what we obviously would have given out to you guys is a lot of things centered around digital marketing and digital marketing strategy. Now, Adam is an expert in all of these things, but really the systemization of those pieces is what he consults to a lot of businesses for, and building together strategy around that. I will let him do a bit more of an intro himself, but let me just say that we've worked with Adam previously within, again, Faster, but he's also worked for a multitude of fitness businesses. So not only is he just a marketing guru who really gets our industry and where we operate in, so please feel free to pick his brain like crazy. You guys are lucky with this small session that you can just go wild. But I will hand it back over to him. Before I do, sorry, just one quick reminder. Next week, our session with Jason, just a reminder that this is actually going to be a Tuesday, not a Wednesday session next week. So you guys should have received, you will receive, sorry, on Monday, the email with a reminder on that. And if you are logged into the portal now, you should have also seen the pop-up for that. So be sure you move this meeting in your calendar. It will be Tuesday to 12:30 next week, not our normal Wednesday session. So you don't want to miss that. Cool. And I will hand the reins over to Adam.
Thank you very much. I'll get stuck straight in. So this is basically what we're going to talk about. Topics of conversation for today is I'll give you a quick overview of me and sort of the work I do. We'll talk about the basics of funnels and why, what, how, and how you should really be implementing and understanding funnels. Funnels are basically the 101 of marketing. So as soon as you understand a funnel and you actually understand how to implement that into your business, you understand a system where you can actually get consistent leads and not have these up and down flows of leads. That's basically marketing 101. The next thing is something that I refer to as a profit ladder. And that's basically how do you then take those leads and members that you're getting and how do you actually make them more profitable? One of the things that I know, particularly with gyms, is that you're limited on numbers. You can't have millions of people using your product. So you need to be able to make sure that you're leveraging as much value and then giving much value and getting a return in terms of profit as you can from each of those members. And then finally, a quick little overview of what that actually looks like in terms of implementation. So a bit about me. I was actually raised in Canberra, went to uni, joined the army, came out of the army, knew I wanted to start my own business. Based on my background, I just wanted to go into something that I could take anywhere, which at the time was web design and content. And then obviously as a result of that, I've basically spent the last 10 years developing myself in terms of marketing and branding and strategy. And we've sort of aligned all those together to give me a more holistic picture. I've worked and I continue to work heavily in the health and fitness industry. Obviously, it's just a passion of mine. I love being health. I love being fit. I love getting out and doing stuff. So it's just, I put the two things that I enjoy doing together and just makes my life a lot better. So that's why I do that. So what I really do for organizations, particularly the larger organizations all the way to the small guys, is I do strategic marketing and brand consulting, which helps basically provide clarity to business to help them achieve growth and increase profit by taking a bigger picture of a long-term picture rather than just trying to sell people on, hey, you need some Facebook ads. But as soon as you chase those Facebook ads off, it's like, oh, where have our leads gone? They've just stopped. So I don't like that sort of marketing. Agencies can do that, fine, give it to them. They're good at doing that. I take a different view in terms of, hey, let's educate you on how to do the basics right, how to actually create brand and differentiate yourself in the market. And then those things happen more organically if you execute well. Some of the clients that I continue to work with and have worked with in the past, big franchises like FitStop, big supplement companies like Nutrition Warehouse, and obviously, again, Faster and stuff like that. Cool. Let's get stuck in. So I don't want this to be boring and just talk at you. I want to be a bit more interactive so you can get engaged and also get some awesome content out of it. So it's a bit more interesting for you. So this is, before we hop in funnels, this is something that I want to cover really quickly, which is understanding marketing systems. And the truth about marketing is there are no right answers. There's good principles and foundational, methodologies that you need to understand in order to market well. But realistically, marketing is about understanding those and implementing them and testing and seeing if you can actually get a result. So I diagnose situations. You then come up with a solution that's actually going to fix that problem So if your problem is, not getting enough people clicking on links and then signing up for your website for a free trial, that's a problem. Let's come up with a solution to solve that problem. We then start small and test it. And once we actually get good traction from that, that's when you then scale and reapply. At some stage in the future, that might stop working and you basically have to go through the same process again. That's the process that you have to do as all marketing. So if you work with an agency or something and they are sort of, just trying to jump in without really understanding your problems, that's the one, I guess, caveat I'd really say watch out for. Find out what the problem is and then start small and ramp it up. When you actually know it's working, you're actually getting good return off it. And yeah, like I said, it's an iterative process. And the final thing is, one thing that I'd say about all of this, particularly around branding, marketing strategy, and actually implementing your marketing, is focus, which stands for, in my mind, follow one course until successful. Too often there's not enough persistence with people actually doing their marketing, and they think after a week or two, I haven't got a return, let's just cancel it. You left it for another 2 weeks and you would have been making $20 per $1 you put out. But people just
hands
cut
up, everyone
things
who's
off
guilty
too
of that.
soon.
Hands up, who's guilty? Scott?
Particularly, and that all doesn't rely just to ads and things like that. Think about your content. How often do you just go through periods of going, I'm getting no traction on social media, I can't be bothered. The dudes that make it big on social media do it for years and years without any sort of traction. Then all of a sudden they go gangbusters. The amount of stories you hear about those type of people is ridiculous. There's people out there that are now worth hundreds of millions that for the first 5 years were making nothing and got no traction. It takes time for these things to really click and people to understand who you are. So focus. And this is basically what I call the brand flow model and what I want to talk a lot about, which is what you should be doing versus what most people do. And that is understanding branding. If we're talking about branding, we're talking about how you're differentiated in the market, how you've positioned yourself, and why people should choose you over any other facility or any other apparel brand or whatever you're out there, any other products and service that you're giving. How to basically make that so it stands out in your own little white space in the market. And to do that, you really need to understand the market and then find the gap where you can be best leveraged to actually get good growth. Because as soon as you're trying up against other brands and just trying to all say the same thing, you become a commodity and people end up choosing you based on, oh, he's $5 cheaper per month, I'll go with him. And that's the worst thing that you want to do. And then the worst mistake that I see there is people go, oh, but we're better, we're better, or we give better value. But you're unable to really say that in a way that the market actually likes what you're saying or actually believes you. So branding is the first step you should do. After that, we really need to be looking at our marketing strategy, which is how we're actually going to, I guess, extract value from the market in that way. And then we're going to create these funnels that I'm about to talk about, basically using your brand strategy and your marketing strategy to then give us insight of what actually content we need, what ads do we need, how do we come up with a good website, what website do we need, who are the people that are actually going to be clicking on these ads. And that's the stuff that we develop early, so we actually know what we're going to be doing here, and we're not just wasting money chucking out content, chucking out ads, hiring photographers, hiring videographers, hiring agencies, updoing our website, and none of it means anything because we haven't really thought about who we're targeting in the market and why and how we're different from the gym down the road. So that's what we need to be doing. Unfortunately, what I see is the complete opposite. Everyone goes out and they see, oh, this guy down, the street, he came up with this really cool ads I've seen on Facebook, really cool video. I want to do the same. But if you're doing the same, you're not differentiating yourself at all. People then just see you as a commodity, which is the exact wrong mentality. And it's natural. There's a psychologist called Daniel Kahneman who talks about the more we see something, the more we believe it's important. So the more we see Facebook ads, the more we think they're the secret to success. But it's bullshit. It's our own psychology sort of feeding us these problems that we're not going to actually find a solution for because we're not differentiating ourselves. We're just doing what everyone else is doing. So this is what everyone realistically does. They focus on the content, they focus on the ads, they focus on their website. And that's why as soon as they turn off those ads, or even if the ads are working, the leads and the actual sales and everything just stop because they're focused on the wrong things. They haven't thought of the big long-term plan of how they're going to build their business. So that's really, I guess, my methodology around how we do things differently. I'll get, I guess, stuck into funnels now around after we've come up with these first two steps, what does a funnel actually look The last thing is branding versus marketing. So I talked a bit about this. Branding is why. It's having that long-term plan, defining your future. So you actually have a path. You're going, hey, in 10 years, this is where I want to be. Let's break that down and actually see how we're actually going to build that, rather than just thinking about each month, oh, I need more leads. So it builds loyalty, it creates value, and then marketing is the other end. How do we actually implement that into the market? It's short-term, it's medium-term sort of goals. It's 6 months, it's 1 year. And it defines the tactics, the ads, the content exactly we're going to actually deliver to the market, which then gets the response from people and then actually gets the value, which means you're actually making those sales and you're getting some change back in your pocket. So they're the way to think about it. That's the difference. Cool. A system for growth. So the idea of having a funnel is that you can reduce the time and cost. You can have a repeatable process that you're actually going to get leads from. You then actually understand the numbers. So you understand how much money you can put in and how much return you should get back, which is the key, I guess, to marketing. It's basically 5th grade maths, and most people don't even look at the maths, and that's why they fail. And the big things that we need to look at here is what's called a CPA, which is the cost per acquisition. It's the AOV, which is like the average order value. So CPA is like, how much does it actually cost you to get someone to sign up to your gym? Are you going to spend $100 in marketing for one person to come to your gym for 1 month? That's the cost per acquisition. It's $100 to get a person into the gym. And when we understand this, we know how much money we can spend to get people in the door. And then we can start working on reducing these numbers in order to say, hey, now we're down to spending $50 and we get someone through the door that's worth $195 a month. How profitable is that? And then we can scale that. So average order value is the next one, AOV, which is how much are each of those people spending with us. Are they spending just $30 for a week trial, and that's how much we're charging, or are they spending the full monthly cost, or however your business model set up? And the final one is what I call the LTV, which is the lifetime value. How long are your members actually staying with your gym? So are they staying on average 8 months? Are they staying on average 2 years? Are they staying on average 1 month? If you understand that and then can improve it, that just means how much that person is actually worth to you to get into the door. So they're the 3 figures that we really need to understand from a marketing perspective. So we're actually spending money and investing wisely, and marketing isn't an expense, it's actually an investment. And of course, you need to understand the market, which means understanding the services you're providing, understanding the pricing of other competitors. So how do we systemize this growth? We're using the marketing funnel. And as you remember back on that original diagram, that was basically near the top. And this is what a marketing funnel looks like. We basically get people come in on the top stage when they become aware of us. They then become interested in us. They build up a desire to actually want to work with us, or actually work with our product or service. And then they finally get to the stage of taking action, which then becomes the members. Unfortunately, most people want to sort of skip the first 3 steps and are just trying to get people in the door to take action to become members. But if they don't know, like, and trust you, which I'll talk about in a second, that becomes very difficult, and that's not how people actually buy. They become aware of someone, they start building an interest of, hey, these guys can solve my problem. They build up a desire to actually want to reach out and work with you, and then you're going to get members. And as I said, they begin to know, like, and trust you. And that's a very easy way to think about it. The way I like to sort of think about that from, I guess, what you guys are doing is to get someone to know you this day and age is providing value in terms of education. If you're going out on social media and you're just trying to get people to buy, or you're talking to them for the first time and you're just trying to get them in to buy or become a member of your gym, they're going to be very standoffish. You're selling to them. And people these days and age are very clued on to when people are selling to them, and it just doesn't work. So what we want to do is we're going to start by educating. We want to provide value to them. You're going to do this in numerous ways. On social media and things like that is the easiest way for people to see you and get immediate value, because you're providing good education. Eventually, every now and then, once people actually get, start following us and things like that, or hop on our website and, get our contact form, we want to use some information there to start inspiring them. So say you've got videos on your social media that educate them on how to do, whatever your target niche is in the market, how to do certain things correctly. They then get interested in that because they now know you and they like you. And they click on your website to see, hey, where are these guys? What are they like? And they hop on your website and they see an awesome testimonial. It's something about, someone who's lost 30 kilos, or, they were injury. I know we did work with CrossFit Brisbane, and their problem was they had a number of older ladies that had MS. So we did a little video around that inspired other people to come in and join them because it was an inspirational story. So they hop on the website, they saw this video, and these people were inspired. Hey, yeah, these guys are doing a great thing. That's what I want, or that's what I need for my grandma, or whatever. And then once they've done that, they've hopped on, they've had a conversation with you, and you've reassured them that you're able to help them with their problem. And that's basically how the funnel works. So what it looks like in terms of a digital sense is we get traffic, we get leads, they hop on our website, they contact us, and then we actually make the sale. If you're familiar with a guy named Dr. Robert Cialdini, he wrote a book called Influence, and he talked about 6 components of influence. That he's a social psychologist, and these 6 components of influence are basically massive components in how you can influence people in making decisions. And these are used by marketers all across the world. His book is probably even though it's a social psychologist book, it's probably the most read marketing book out there because it's that good at helping influence people to make decisions in your way. So the way I like to break these 6 points down is as I just talked about. You want to show reciprocity is basically giving value, and people feel the need to give value back. And that comes in the form, as I spoke about, giving education. They get to know you and they get to like you through the liking principle, or through giving value and providing education at the top of the funnel. Top of the funnel means like social media, things they can just see you. However they're seeing you, you're trying to provide educational value to them. Once they click on your website, you're trying to use, like I said, a testimonial or something to show you have authority. And there's social proof. There's people behind, other people other than you also talking about your business saying, yeah, it's great. So social proof comes in the form of testimonials. It comes in the form of Google reviews, comes in the form of people just commenting and saying, this is amazing, I love this, blah, blah, blah. That's social proof. We're social animals. And the more people see that, they automatically obviously build trust with you. But also, I guess they don't have to take your word for it. They can take other people's word of it. And that's more meaningful. And then the final one is when we're trying to make that sale is one, being consistent with who you are. So when you actually get someone on the phone, talk about the things that you talked about previously and have a bit of urgency. Hey, mate, if you want to come down today, I'm happy to give you the first month free. It's urgency for them. It gives them a reason, incentive to actually make that last step and show some action. So that's really what we're doing in terms of creating a funnel. And that's what it really means. I guess that's the best way I can break it down for you is give value at the start. Show some social proof to get people to trust what you're actually doing, and then be consistent with how you deliver that message and get some urgency behind actually getting them to take action. Because people like to sort of put things off while they want to try and make a decision. Usually if they put things off, they're not going to be very reliable on actually coming into your gym. So there we go, value members. These are some other things to remember is what you do is not for everyone. And I sort of spoke about this briefly when I talked about branding and marketing strategy. It's really understanding that particularly in a competitive part of the market, which gyms definitely are, is you need to pick a very narrow niche of who you're actually trying to serve. This whole, I don't want to cut my market down, just doesn't work. There's too many other people out there that are solving specific problems that if you're not solving a specific problem, they're not going to look at your gym. So some examples of this would be, for example, if I wanted to write a book on marketing and I put a book of marketing out there, I could probably sell it for $20. If I wanted to put a book of marketing out there for, I don't know, the construction industry, I could probably sell it for $100. If I wanted to put a course out there for the same people, I could probably charge $1,000. If I wanted to now narrow my niche and say this is for residential builders, I could probably now charge $3,000 for that course. If I wanted to charge for extension specialists that do residential builds, I can now charge this course $10,000, $15,000 because it's solving a very specific problem for a very specific group. The course on the book didn't have to be any different in terms of the content or the value that I provided, but because people thought I was solving their specific problem, they were willing to pay more for me to actually come in and help them. So if you're helping people with weight loss, help people with weight loss. If you're helping people with a better, more enjoyable life where they have more energy, that's your niche. Make sure you scream that from the rooftops. This is what we do. And that's an example of how you need to sort of change what you're thinking in terms of we're just, providing CrossFit. Bullshit. There's every other gym out there. Every other CrossFit gym across the country is providing CrossFit. That doesn't separate you or differentiate you at all. How are you going to take the next level down and say, we're a CrossFit gym that's specialize in doing, more cardio-based workouts, because we believe that fundamental base of conditioning is, undervalued amongst other gyms. You need to start niching yourself even amongst your current category. I guess, is there any questions about what I've spoken about so far? And, do you need some examples or anything like that? Or are you having struggles with any of those concepts?
Could I have for an example?
Example of
what I think a differentiation strategy could be demonstrated as within the CrossFit community. And I know this particularly because I train at CrossFit Victoria.
Yeah, so CrossFit Victoria is actually an example of someone who, whether it's intentional or unintentional, have niched down a little bit more. CrossFit Victoria, by the way who they've hired, the type of people they've sort of pushed and promoted, they're more centered around performance than the average CrossFit gym. Having, CrossFit Games athletes and stuff there, and having more regional athletes, etc., there pushes them more towards in the CrossFit community as people that want to be more performance centered. So if they're interested in doing well, maybe they're more likely to go to touring. Now, does touring realize they've probably done this? Maybe a little bit. Do they really push it enough? No. But I don't think they probably have someone there saying, hey, you guys are attracting this market. Time you start nailing that down and being like, we're the performance gym. This is who we are. We're going to attract those type of people into our gym because they're not going to go anywhere else because they don't provide as good as good competition and everything in terms of actually being the performance gym. So from a CrossFit standard, that's one example. But you can take that in any ways. You can look at any of the modalities around what CrossFit specializes, with conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, and you could specialize there. You could put it down to, hey, we actually work more with, an older crowd and actually market more that side of things because that's the group we want to attract into our CrossFit gym compared to every other CrossFit gym in the area, whatever it is. They're just examples of how you sort of niche down. Now, CrossFit, I would say, 5, 6, 7 years ago, probably didn't have as many competitors that you could get away with just being a CrossFit gym. But as more people come into the space, and particularly more functional gyms come into the space, even if they're not CrossFit affiliates, you need to start differentiating yourself in a different way so that people recognize, no, I want to go with these guys because this is what they do compared to the other functional gym down the road, which does more of, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, I'll move on. So as I sort of spoke about, the reason it's called a funnel is because we need to get used to the fact that the numbers throughout our funnel constantly basically will reduce. And that's good. And that should be what happens because I guess people are sort of realizing by the content and everything that we have in our marketing funnel that, no, this isn't for me, or no, it's too expensive, or whatever it is. We want to get rid of those people early on. If we're spending our time talking to leads that say, oh, we're too expensive, we haven't done a very good job of getting those people out of the picture early on. And that means we're spending our time talking to people that were never going to come because they thought we're too expensive and we're more expensive than the Anytime Fitness. It's like we need to make sure they know we're more expensive than Anytime Fitness before they give us a call or make us call them, because then we're just wasting our time to people that had no interest of actually buying our products or service. So this is an example of might be. You might get to the stage where you've got 1,000 people following you on social media, or 1,000 people see your advertising campaign on Facebook ads. From that, you get, maybe this is a very high number actually, but 200 people actually click through and look at your website. Of those 200 people, if you've got a really good converting website, you're never going to get 50%. This is just an example. You get, 100 people actually go through your contact form, leave their details so you can give them a call. Of those 100 calls you make, you might only have 10 people that become members. And we need to be aware of this and understand this because this really builds into, I guess, how much money and time we're willing to spend. I guess something that I want to raise here in terms of understanding the funnel is there's 5 objections that we deal with throughout actually making a sale with our product or service. And that is time and money, information and trust, and authority. So time and money, we want to be dealing with before they ever contact us. If they go make it past our website and actually put in become a lead where they've put in their contact details and talk to us, and they're not willing to spend what you charge per month, and they haven't got time, or their schedule doesn't fit in with how you do your classes, then you don't want to be talking to those people. It's a waste of time. Information and trust, you want to make sure that you can solve that problem very early on in the sales conversation. As soon as you talk to them, you want to make sure that they have all the information they need around what you're doing, and that they trust, based on everything they've seen previously, that you can actually deliver them a result. And the final step is authority. Is just, from a gym, it's quite easy. It's making sure that the person you're talking to actually has the authority for themselves to come in and actually book a membership. So they're really the 5 objections you're going to come across when making a sale. And 2 of them, you want to make sure that before you ever talk to anyone in person, those objections are out the window or gone. So once we've actually got some numbers coming in our doors, because we've set up a funnel that's actually working, how do we start making them more profitable? And we use a system called a profit ladder. And this is my little animation or illustration of a profit ladder. And a profit ladder works by ascending people up once they've understood it. And it basically works by, 1, making it easier for them to get in the door. And then 2, once they're in the door, making sure that we're making that customer or member as profitable as possible. And we usually do this by starting off with offering some sort of free offer. You can do this as a gym by, maybe you're having things on your website like, hey, here's 20 workouts that you can do at home, during lockdown, for example, if that was still a thing. But it's by offering something that your customers actually want, that you can give them for free. So we start off with a free offer. And the reason we do this is for 2 reasons. 1, we're providing value, and we're giving hopefully some sort of educational value in some sense. So we're starting with the top of the funnel, as I talked about before. But more importantly, we often do this in terms of getting exchange for information. So you do this all the time when you hop on a website, you type in your email address, they send you a PDF. Very common, very standard thing. And the idea of that is, even if you don't reach out and contact those people yet because you don't think they're ready, or you don't want to be that type of person that's reaching out too early and annoying someone, by having their contact details and information, your ability to market effectively on things like Facebook, when you're working with someone who understands Facebook ads, is increased significantly, because Facebook works by understanding who's currently your current client base, and let's go out and find people like that. So when you hear about Facebook selling data to businesses, they're selling data to you. If you're a business that wants to use Facebook ads, it's not some big scary thing. It's literally Facebook saying, hey, we know that you've got Jenny, Jess, and whoever coming as members to your gym. We have another 100 people that look exactly like them, have the same buying habits. We can show your ad to them. So that's another reason why we want to do a free offer, because we're able to get the information, which helps with future marketing. We then want to make sure that the buying resistance there isn't too hard. Often for people, it's a bit scary going from not spending anything to all the way to spending, signing up for a contract, or going $190 a month for a monthly membership or whatever. So we want to have some sort of front end offer, which makes people that are a bit unnervy about signing up straight away, reduce that buyer resistance, and make them more comfortable in actually getting in the door. I think all of you can agree that once you've got someone in the door, it's a lot easier to keep them than if they've never actually walked through the door. We then want to get to our core offer, which is, I'm sure for all of you, is probably your monthly membership. This is your core offering that you offer as a product or service within your business. And the final one is premium offers. As I talked about before, when I talked about the average order value and lifetime values of the customer, one thing that we're talking about here is, if we can come up with some sort of extended premium offer, which gets people spending more money with your business, what that does is dramatically increase profitability. We only need a small number of people to do that, and by providing more value, but it also increases the lifetime value of the customer. So overall, your revenue for the year will actually increase dramatically by getting small groups of people to take you up on more premium offers. So some examples of this could be, it could be a trial, it could be some sort of education. A front-end offer could be something like 21 days in our gym for $50, reduce rate, a short period of time, come in and trial it and get to know whether you actually like what we're doing here. Once they've actually got in, you might say, okay, now once they've finished those 21 days, you talk to them, make sure that you were doing everything that you could to keep them, and they sign up to then your standard membership of, for example, $195 a month. which then you say, after a couple of months, hey, for all our members, we're doing a, diet or nutrition add-on. So if you need some help with how you're eating, we have this new diet plan that we can roll out to each of you. And that's going to be a little bit more per month, but it starts actually increasing your revenue. Like I just spoke about, those first two really reduce the friction. And the premium offer is really about increasing that profit per customer and basically making sure that you're providing more value for the benefit of increasing your actual, top line number. So some example of this would be, just click through these. So if we actually look at how this might work, we're looking at a front-end offer, and we might run this only for October. So we've added some urgency to it for people. They can't just do this all the time. Hey, it's coming up to summer, it's October, you want to get in, you want to try a new gym, you want to lose some weight. We're running a special that you can get 21 days for $49. We might put $300 towards Facebook ads. So like I said before, we need to understand the maths behind these campaigns in order to see whether they're actually successful and whether they're profitable or not. So if we get 15 registrations from that $300 of Facebook ads, then that would be $735 of actual, I guess, gross income. But then we need to take off the $300 for the Facebook ads, and that leaves $435. And then we say, of those 15 people that actually came for those 21 days, maybe only 8 of them decided that what you were doing was, what they enjoyed doing, and that they were going to stay on as members. And that's, 8 times $195. So we can see the maths there, that we've actually spent nothing. We've made $435 to get 8 new members in the gym. So that's the way we sort of use this profit ladder to not only increase how much money we're making, but to actually not think of marketing as an expense and set it up in a way that we can actually make money to bring more members into our gym. And this is what you need to do. You need to provide value, you need to reduce friction, you need to give them some reason to come in that covers our expense of the marketing to get them interested. And then at the end, not only have we made $435 for those 21 days, but we've got 8 new members in the gym that are bringing another $195 a month. So that's an example of a front-end offer. If you want to look at a premium offer, we can look at doing a nutrition challenge, like I mentioned, or some sort of diet plan. Because it's going to current members, you don't have to spend anything in ads or anything in marketing. You can basically just reach out to them and speak to them. Maybe you want to make it specific around something like a paleo diet or whatever diet or help people are interested in. And maybe you get 30 members to take you up on it for an extra $80. And there you go, you've got another $2,400 of income. That's just another way of sort of increasing your profit, increasing your top line figure, and also providing more value to people. If you're able to solve, I guess, more of these problems for people, there's no reason for them to go for another gym. Because if they're reliant on you for getting their diet plan each month, then by having that compared to what the gym down the road couldn't provide, they're more likely to then want to stay with you for that reason. That's just another example of how you actually implement that. Another premium.
Brianna had questions in the chat box. If you have a second to have a look. Or if you want to jump in, Brianna, go for it.
Would you not factor in the loss of the full price membership as a cost? So essentially 2 weeks free is a loss of $100. Well, the funny thing about gyms, I guess, if I understand your question correctly, is that the cost of you having an extra couple people in a class doesn't go up with a gym. You've got your trainers already on, they're already there providing the work. Having an extra 1 or 2 people in the class, if you're all running functional type sessions, which I believe you are, or CrossFit type sessions, then the cost doesn't actually go up for having an extra 1 or 2 people there, correct? So you don't really the cost of goods sold for gym is different from a product because you haven't actually got an increased cost for a new person in one of your classes. Is that what you meant? Am I on the right money there? I'll see if she responds. Does anyone else have any sort of questions around that? Does that make sense? Yeah, sorry, I should have rephrased it as a loss of revenue. Cost are the same. not factor in a full price membership as it costs. So essentially 2 weeks free.
Sorry, so I'll jump in. It's easier. Just
Yeah.
sorry. So basically, I'm familiar with the ladder that you talked about. It's just realistically, there is if you're doing 21 days, you're essentially paying for 1 week and getting 2 weeks for free, right? If we're working on $49 a week. So the loss of income is essentially $100 from each of those 15 people had you not run that 21-day deal, right? So if you had, so any other month except October, you would have had those people already paying you $49 a week had they signed up. So when you're factoring in, oh, it only cost me this much, you're not factoring in that potentially that's a loss of revenue of $100 for each of those 15 people had they signed up paying full price at the beginning. Does that make sense? That's
100%. Yeah, 100%. My question to you is, how would you know those people were going to sign up before they clicked on your offer to come in your gym? What reason did you have to believe that those 8 people were going to walk into your gym? If they hadn't contacted you yet and they were already not a lead, what reason do you have, or what logic out there is there to think that those people would actually walk into your gym? As I sort of talked about before, I guess the reason of the front end offer is to reduce friction. If those people were aware of you and then they saw that ad, that you've reduced the friction of them of actually getting in contact with you and making that leap and that bound of faith and trust to say, hey, I want to work with these guys. If they were already past that point, at least in my experience, they would already be a lead in your system. They would already you would have already contacted them and talked to them. So no, I guess from my experience, I don't see it as a loss, because they're not a loss until they're a lead or an actual member. And then maybe you could say I've lost a bit of money because I've offered some sort of discounted service. But the idea is to get people that aren't yet comfortable, you're reducing the friction of them actually making that commitment towards becoming part of your facility. So the idea is that to get those leads, which basically they are, to decide to sign up for that 21 days, we're bringing in income or revenue to get leads. You're not spending money to get leads. You're getting some sort of money back. Those $435, if you wanted to, and if I was a gym owner, I would be putting that $435 remaining from the revenue that came in from those people taking us up on the 21-day offer. And I would be putting into making sure that those people had the best experience they could. I'd be giving them a free t-shirt on week 1. On week 2, I'd be, going out and buying them a coffee or something, sitting down and having a chat with them. I'd be putting that money to good use to make sure that those 8 people, or if I could do better, 15 people that decided to stay on were with me for years, not with me for a month or 2 where I was only making $195 a month. This is how we need to start thinking about the process in order to provide more value to keep it around for longer. I guess that's the way I view at it. Like I said, you could look at it as a loss, but there would only be a loss if they were already willing to come in and sign up for a gym membership. And even then, if they'd already made that intention, you'd be aware of them beforehand, so they wouldn't need to see this Facebook ad. I guess, does that make sense? Is there any more questions around that? Oh, cool. Yeah, and a similar sort of example, if you want to do some sort of premium offer, you could offer diet or PT. I just see another chat, 1 sec. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great question. And you're right. If those people already leads, I guess when we're talking about the front end offer, those people already leads or they're already members or whatever, then yes, I wouldn't offer it to current members. And the idea is that it's reaching out a new group of people that haven't yet made that commitment or wouldn't otherwise make that commitment. So you're getting paid to bring more people into your gym. I guess then another idea of a premium offer, which we can talk about here, is maybe you wanted to offer some sort of a diet plan or personal training. Because it's being, again, provided to current members, you wouldn't have to spend any money on ads or anything. You could then create a systemized plan so it doesn't create a huge amount of, time cost to you. And maybe you get 50 members of, if you've got 200, take you up on that offer at $6 a month. It's another $3,000 a month. So these are just examples of ways that you can increase the monthly and yearly revenue by providing more value and sort of using your current membership base, because you are limited with how many members you can fit inside your facility. Yeah, and like I said, that's another $36,000 in revenue per year. So how do you implement? Again, we keep this as our, I guess, guiding light, that we focus on our brand, we focus on our marketing strategy, and then we implement our funnels, which I've talked about, and I'm about to show you what that actually looks like before we then focus on actually spending money on creating content, creating ads and new websites, etc. So this is what a funnel could look like in a practical sense regarding people actually taking up on some sort of front-end offer. So we use a Facebook ad to target people within our area of our demographic, in our niche, that are interested in some sort of guide that fixes a problem that they're having. You need to understand, obviously, who your customers are to provide some sort of value with this guide. This is just an example, remember. They've signed up by opting in on your website. That then goes into our email system as, hey, we've got a lead here. The system automatically sends them out an email for this guide. So they've gotten the guide in exchange for their details. We can then wait a couple of days and send them out an email, have some sort of sequence where we can offer them this front-end offer. Hey, we noticed you downloaded our guide and you're in our area. We're doing 21 days for $49 for this month only. Reach out to us if you'd like to take us up on this offer. You can then also hit them again on things like Facebook and Instagram and target people just for the next, week with a Facebook ad, which specifically pushes this 21 days for $49 offer. So we're hitting them not only in their email, but we're being front of mind in terms of as soon as they open up Facebook group, the same group they just downloaded that guide off is now offering a 21-day special. That might be quite a big incentive for them, which then obviously they can hop on the phone and actually make a purchase or go through another Facebook ad and purchase. That's an example of how a funnel would work. Does that make sense to everyone? So, I mean, I'm sure all of you have some sort of email system sort of set up. Hopefully you do. But things like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, all of those ones you can get online are the type of things that you can do this very, very easily with. As soon as you've got someone who can help you with Facebook ads, or if you can do it yourself, it's very easy to basically target someone who's gone to a thank you page on your website with a certain ad for a certain period of time. It's very simple to do and it's very effective.
Just a moment for a shameless plug in here. For any of those on the call who are fitbox customers, we are launching our active campaign based product called Jenny IQ, which is wrapping in a few of these kind of things. So it will automate back on journeys based on interest shown by potential members in the way that Adam's explaining. So if you want some more information about that, give me a shout.
Cool. Another example, they basically take you up on a front-end offer. They see your Facebook ad around 21 days for $49. They don't have to have seen your free offer. They just come up with an attractive ad that is appealing to who they are. And based on that, we can then run more Facebook ads where they can make a direct phone call to your phone. Basically, we can have your phone number there. We can get them to give you a call, and we get them straight into the system. Another thing that we're going to do there is because they've taken up on the front end offer, they've put in their details. We want to make sure that we have some sort of email sequence also pushing them in to get through into that sequence to become a member. So that's just an example of how we sort of set these things up, how we turn that idea of a funnel and we turn an idea of a profit ladder into an actual automated system that can then be running without us having to follow people up all the time and making all these things. And we can have Facebook ads that happen automatically once someone's, downloaded or visited our website, etc. The more you understand this and use it, the more is why I talk about the more systemized and leveraged you can actually be, because you've got things running automatically, bringing in new leads and people becoming aware of you without you having to do a thing. And that's the aim of the game. If you're spending all your time on people that aren't paying you, you're spending too much time. You want to be spending all your time and therefore, where you're leveraged on people that are already members and already paying you some sort of monthly money. If you go to adambarbo.com/fitbox, you can basically download, I guess, some of the 10 best strategies that I've used with gyms and studios. And yeah, that will basically direct you through to a little series which you can use there.
Adam, if I can get you to flick back to just the prior slide before that last one. If we're looking at something like this, I can imagine there's a couple of people here who are kind of looking at that and going, oh, like that's complicated. Could you give us an idea on what kind of timeline it might be to set up something like this that would allow it to be running in the background and just constantly feeding you leads if you wanted to start from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I'll go back to this slide first. In terms of setting this stuff up, as I've talked about, this is your funnel and obviously the content and ads you need, which are the final steps. So my first step is understanding your point of differentiating, understanding who your customers are, understanding how to come up with good offers, and using, I for example, run workshops based on how to come up with good offers and stuff. So understanding those things gives you all the information you need to then create these funnels and ads. So if you're trying to look at that and you think, I don't know what to talk about, I don't know what to say, it's because you haven't done the strategy stuff first. If you've got a marketing strategy and you've got a brand strategy, this stuff becomes very easy because you've got it written down on documents that you can go look at and say, oh yeah, we're targeting this person, this is their pain point, this is the solution that we're offering, and this is how I'm presenting my offer. So when you've got that stuff, these next steps become basically you basically don't have to think about it, in which case the time that it actually takes is significantly reduced. If you're doing what most people do, which I showed you before, is inverted, and you just try and create it, and you're a bit dogmatic about it, you're then going to have to spend more time trying to think of what content to actually put in here to get a result. So then coming up with the content for Facebook ads and the different ads targeting different people, you're then having to talk about getting a videographer or a photographer in, whether you can do it yourself, getting someone to come in and actually do the Facebook ads. It will take probably a week or so to set up. In terms of, it wouldn't actually take a week full time, but in terms of just getting things aligned and getting things all delivered to you, it probably would take a week from you deciding to say, hey, I want to, set up this funnel example, to having it live and actually running for you. Does that answer the question, Han?
Yeah, I think so. Anyone else want to jump in?
No, any other questions? Come on, I'm sure not all of you are having unlimited numbers of leads knocking on your doors right now. So I'm sure you've got questions in terms of how to get more people into your gym.
Or I can keep throwing them out there.
My question, Adam, is what level of expectation should we have that if we implement something like this, that it can sort of run automatically in the background without having to maintain it or constantly do split testing or change things or, change our targeting or anything like that? Because that's something I've struggled with in the past, is I've done a lot of Facebook and funnel type theory work, and I sort of set it up and then either lose interest in the ongoing maintenance of it or the testing of it and things like that. So that's typically where I fall over with stuff like this.
I mean, I guess my question is, are you doing it yourself?
Generally, yes, I am doing it myself. Yep.
So there's a couple of things to look at, I guess, from a Facebook ads perspective, for example. But really, I guess, if you have a good understanding of whether your ads are currently profitable, and then if you're then putting more budget behind them, or if they're not profitable, you're not putting more budget behind them until they become, and then if they are profitable, you're putting a lot of budget behind them and letting them run. As soon as they stop becoming profitable, as soon as you understand your cost per acquisition, and you understand your average order value and understand the lifetime value, and you understand how much money you can put to getting a new member into your gym, then that's when you stop, or that's when you need to look at it and pay attention. So it's not completely, I'm just going to click play and 3 years later I might come look at it. But it's having it there so you're not having to do all this process yourself. It's having everything aligned. And then it's the way I do these sort of things with my finances, with my ads, with my everything, is hop on for half an hour in the morning. I have the pages already up in my browser, and I click through and just make sure, how much is the cost per lead at the moment for people clicking through onto my website? How many leads I've actually got in on my website? Okay, so it's costing me $5 and I've got 2 people actually who have put in the form. I can then understand, okay, it's costing me, $2.50 per person clicking on me. That's easily, within my limits with my conversion rate to actually make money. So it's not a set time. It's just making sure that you understand your numbers and then looking at these and saying, hey, it's costing me $100 and I haven't got 1 lead. I need to change something up. You know what I mean? And that's why I talked about it before at the start, is understanding the problem, understanding then putting a solution and starting small and testing. I guess, does that answer? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think in the past when set things up. I haven't gone into it with the correct understanding of how to measure those metrics. And so I just constantly feel like I'm just pumping money into ads and trying all these different things, but never really getting a result. And as a side effect of that, I feel like I'm spending a whole lot of money, spending a whole lot of time, but not actually getting the outputs that I wanted to see out of those campaigns. So that explains it. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. It's so much of marketing, particularly this top level marketing. We were out there doing this stuff. It's 5th grade maths. If you don't know your numbers, you can't do the maths, and therefore you have no idea whether it's successful or not. You're just willingly throwing money out into Facebook's pocket and hoping. Yeah, and hoping isn't a strategy, you know. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is, as I said before, you're not going to get this overnight. It takes at least minimum, and this was before recent updates and privacy things that have changed with Facebook ads, minimum a week, you know, more like 2 weeks for Facebook to actually understand who your market is and who the type of people that are clicking on the ads. Yep. So many people run Facebook ads for 2 weeks, they've spent $200 and they've got no one click on their ad and they turn it off. If they left it for another 5 days, they could have had 2 or 3 people click on their ad straight up. So it's about letting it run a bit, understanding there's going to be a bit of a process until you and like Facebook and everything really understand you in order to start getting this thing actually ticking over. It's not something that just happens.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, 2 weeks is usually about my attention span, and then I turn it off. So it's good
you're doing better than most people, I'll say that.
Cool.
Scott, I'd love to hear from you, maybe if you could give us some insight into anything you might have run in the past or any issues or successes you might have had from strategies you've put out.
I guess regarding this sort of stuff, I mean, like I said, my emphasis these days is very much on the strategy type of stuff, because I think that's what most people ignore, and that's why they have a problem. If you don't know how to come up with a good offer, if you don't know how to present a good offer to the people you're working with, then running Facebook ads buying a new website or getting a videographer is a lot of the time irrelevant. You're going to have some people that take you up on it, but you're missing the big bulk of people that actually make what you're saying very attractive. The other thing is, when I talk about testing from like a Facebook ads or even emails that I had in those funnels about sending them out, it is about testing. It's trying different iterations. It's trying different dimensions in your ads. Sometimes it's trying a photo that you've taken on your phone that looks cool. Sometimes it's having a professional, really cool photo there and a really cool video that you've spent money on. You don't know who's going to react to what. It's about putting a couple things up there, having the assets there that you can use, and then using them to see which one's actually getting the best result. So when I talk about testing, it's testing all of these things. It's testing in your emails, whether you just have a short email where you talk about things, or whether you have a video there and no words, and let them just watch the video of you saying, "Hey mate, you know, you're in Toowoomba, love to have you come in and trial us out, blah, blah, blah. This is what we're all about. You know, print this off and come into one of my trainers will give you the session free just so you can really experience who we are." It's really testing and understanding that I need to try different things for them to see what people actually react with. And I guess when I talk about this sort of stuff, if I go back to my main diagram, is the reason I spend so much time around brand and strategy, particularly, you know, for organizations, particularly new organizations and people that are coming up with new products and stuff, is because people always say, "Oh yeah, we're differentiated, we're different." And then I'll go look at their, you know, email sequence when someone leaves a lead and they have an automatic email that is the most bland, average email that you get from every other organization. Well, that's not differentiated, because that's the first thing I see, and you're the same as everyone else. I go on your website and I see the same offers and services and the same layout as every other gym in the area. Well, you're not differentiated because I'm seeing you as a customer and saying, "Oh yeah, this looks the same as what these guys were doing with the other guys, and they're a bit closer to me." If you want to be differentiated, you want to stand out in the market, you want to pick your niche, you're going to have to actually pay attention to everything you do and make sure that it's different. And different means not just a little bit different. It means that people look at you and go, "Oh, that's cool. That's different." Actually, for them to trigger that and say, "That's not what every other gym is doing." And no one has the balls to do that. It takes a big, courageous step for you to position yourself differently. And most businesses are afraid to do that. And most businesses get the results of someone who's afraid to do that. They be stuck in this zone where they just can't quite break through that barrier. But if you look at those businesses around the world that really go from nothing to massive overnight, or those people that go from owning 1 gym to 7 gyms in 2 years, It's because they're doing something very different that people feel the need to come to their gyms rather than every other gym. It's not luck. It's just them doing something radically different. I guess another example I'll give around that is there was this, they did like baby type items, that products they were selling. And there was this company, and this email went viral because for once, when you actually bought a product on their website, it wasn't just a confirmation email, oh, thank you very much. They had this completely different email about, you know, like a story, and it made fun of as a baby who was getting this item and blah, blah, blah. And it was just, they had custom ones for every single product that people were buying. It would have taken 6 months to make, but these emails went viral, and they went from, you know, owning like, I think it was like 20 stores or something, to being a nationwide store in America within like 12 months after that happened, because they got so much publicity and stuff from just sending out a different email from what everyone else was doing. And that's the sort of, I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to you, but I'm saying just by thinking about things differently, you're going to get different results. If you do things the same, you're going to get the same results as everyone else.
I have another question. Sorry, I take some notes as we go through the content usually. So I've got a few on the table to come back to you with. I think a lot of gyms, particularly in a lot of fitness businesses, would like to think that a point of differentiation for each facility is, quote unquote, our community. So we have a unique fitness community. Would you say that that's enough, considering that everyone thinks they also have that?
Yeah, exactly. The fact that you said that everyone thinks they have that means you don't have that. So what people like to talk about is, yeah, you know, our community, and the other guy talks about their community, or our price is better, or our web, we give better quality training. It's like none of these things are actually measurable. How you make a sale, how you actually deliver the product, how you do things, you know, they're actually tangibly different, or what you need to sort of spend more time thinking about. And look, I don't want to say it's laziness, but I think it's an unwillingness to sort of sit down and really think about how you can be different from everyone else. I think it's like you want to just have things moving, but actually spending time sitting down and really understanding your market is the first step. And I guess, you know, when I'm running brand strategy workshops with organizations, I do this from everyone who has a small business to I've done this with companies that are making over $100 million. And the first step we do is break down their market. So break down the full market around health and all the sub layers of the sub markets all the way down to their niche. And we understand the key players in each of them and what makes them good and what makes them different from everyone else. And then because we understand all of the players and how they're good and how they're different, we can then find a way that makes us good in a unique way and different in a unique way. And that's the first step of developing a good brand, is having good positioning in the market. I guess an example of positioning and, you know, being why it's important to be different is if you go to a small country town, you see a lot of general stores. They have a lot of general stores because you can be general because there's not a huge amount of competition. As soon as you move into a city, you start seeing specialized stores because a general store is not going to do as well surviving because there's too much competition out there solving for other stores, solving, you know, unique problems. I've got a whiteboard here. Let me just grab this because this talks to what I was talking about. I don't know if you can see this. No, it's not going to let me show.
I need to turn your background off.
No. Okay. It's basically understanding the fact that as you differentiate yourself, you're able to position yourself better as an expert in a certain little area that no one else is sort of doing. As you position yourself as an expert, you're able to charge more because you're different to everyone else. It's avoiding the fact that you're no longer a commodity because you've positioned yourself differently. And by doing that, you don't want to be, the common saying is you want to go a mile deep mile deep on something and an inch wide rather than going a mile wide and an inch deep. Does that make sense? So most gyms say, this is what we do, and they all say the same thing, and they're very broad and unspecific with what they're offering. They haven't gone very deep on a topic, so they're not solving anyone's specific problem. The opposite way of looking at it is, hey, I'm going to pick my niche that I'm going to market myself as, and I'm going to go real fucking deep on this. I'm going to go, hey, we are the best at doing this one thing very, very, very well. And anyone who sees my content goes, these guys are just damn good at this, aren't they? Now, once they get into your gym and become members, you can sell them and all these other things. But it's a marketing, branding, and positioning play to say, this is who we are. This is what we're good at. we're deep on this topic because that's what we believe in. That's how you differentiate yourself. It's called going deep on a vertical, because you've picked a vertical in your market and you've gone deep on it, compared to doing what everyone else does, which just sits on surface level. Hey, we do CrossFit.
So I think everyone on here is involved in CrossFit to some capacity, I believe. Is that right?
Sorry,
Yeah,
you cut out of it, then I missed you.
Involved. So I did similar. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. So some capacity. So when I was sitting down working out differentiation, our two biggest competitors are F45 and Fitstop. In terms of the price point. So we've got to compare the price point as well as the offering. So the number one thing that we have been selling is the fact that we coach classes. And I think that's a really obvious one, but not that everyone's thought about it, is that Fitstop, F45, they don't actually get coached ever. They never get coached. And it's also really important about understanding and differentiating where the programming comes from. So if your competitors are like mine and the F45 and Fitstop, they're having centralized programming. So all of this whole individualized attention that we offer from a CrossFit perspective, that was a huge thing. So as soon as I started using words like we actively coach you, we treat you like an individual, each program is individually tailored to suit you. These were all, whilst it's CrossFit, I'm not saying I'm different to what another CrossFit box does, but I wouldn't see them as my competition. As soon as I started using those words, when I was talking to people, keen to try out what it feels like to be actually coached by someone. So I don't know if people have thought about that for themselves, but I'm not speaking, hopefully, I'm not educating you in something you don't know, but it's just interesting to really think about the fact that we do actually.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great example of understanding, as I talked about before, the first step we do in brand strategy is understanding your competition. Once you understand competition, you can actually make strategic decisions where you can position yourself for long term rather than jumping between, oh, this week we'll talk about this and next month we're going to talk about this, and no one really gets where why you're different. So I think that's a great example of when you're looking at the difference between you and other sort of gym training methodologies out there, is that's one way to look at it. I mean, I would be definitely, depending which area you're in, but understanding more about the other than CrossFit gyms is probably the next step in understanding how to differentiate yourself from them as well.
I do have a question, and I'm sorry, because I arrived late. I'm not sure if it was covered, but I'm assuming you just deal with Facebook advertising. You don't do like Instagram, hashtags, any of that. That's not your area.
No, I don't actually do any of
Adam?
the. Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't actually do the Facebook ads and stuff. I work with organizations to develop their strategies and implementation and work out everything you need around that to make sure it's successful, develop your offers and everything like that. There's hundreds of agencies out there and content people that can help you with doing that. I guess from a marketing perspective, in terms of getting someone to work on your, put out your socials and things like that, I mean, that's the lowest cost area to start. You can get people online that do that for $20 a month that actually are quite good at it.
I guess with a small, sorry, my chicken just walked in the house, as you do. I guess when we've got a limited budget, at the moment, I've got to decide, do I focus on Facebook advertising? Do I do SEO, or do I do Instagram hashtag? Can you take it? Or Instagram hashtags? And I have a limited budget, so I just need to know, because it seems to go in cycles as to what's the most popular.
Yeah, so I'd say a couple of things there. I guess the first thing is,
do I want to go for first?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is, I'm assuming as a gym owner, you're most likely doing under $1 million revenue per year. And my basic advice from a marketing perspective is if you're doing under $1 million, you have one persona you're trying to target, you have one product you're trying to push, and you have one medium source that you're using. You need to be very focused because, as you said, the less revenue there is, the less budget there is, and the more areas you try and target, the less likely you're going to actually make any sort of impact because enough people aren't seeing. So if you're putting money towards SEO, if you're putting money towards, having a photographer come in every month, and then you're having Facebook ads and Google ads running at the same time, you're taking a limited budget and you're spreading it very thin. My general, advice without knowing more about your business or who you're actually targeting is put all of that towards one area and go hard on that to actually get some sort of decent impact from your marketing. The other area is, as I talked about before, with understanding your numbers. I think that was back. Anyway, understanding your numbers. As I spoke about that, because in order to, when you understand your numbers, and it sounds, I lose most people here. And there's a reason that you shouldn't have a marketing budget if your marketing is working well. If you're spending $1 and making $5 off that based, obviously you're spending $100 and you're getting a new member that's worth $195 per month. And even if they only stay 1 month, it's a profitable $100 spent that you wouldn't have otherwise made that $95. So a marketing budget only exists for people that don't understand the idea around marketing is that it should be making more money for you than you should be putting in. So you shouldn't have a marketing budget. You should start small to test. And then once it's working, you should continuously ramp it up until it doesn't have those results. And then you adjust and you find the problem and you come up with a new solution. And that's really the solution around marketing. I guess the biggest problem is, and they talk about this in many different areas of business, which is not letting the winners run. If you've got something that's continuously providing you a positive return of investment, why would you limit that? You're just limiting your return. I hope that helps. I hope that's sort of what you're after.
She might be frozen, but I think that makes sense. I saw a few heads actually nodding to that, so it sounds like that's resonating with people.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to reiterate the fact. You go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go. I'm not talking.
Sorry, guys. I must have Adam a delay with my connection here. Apologies. I don't need to keep jumping in on top of him. I just have one other sort of operational question because I know that this is something that you do really well personally, Adam. I'm curious to know if anyone else uses a retargeting strategy at all in their marketing currently. By show of hands, anyone use retargeting on social platforms or any other means? No. I reckon you might be able to touch on that a little bit as well, Adam.
Yeah, so I'll go right to the end and we can talk a bit about when we've created this funnel and we've created our offers and we understand how we're actually going to lay that out, like I sort of showed before. Then a retargeting ad is literally something that we use to basically bolster the fact that someone's shown some sort of interest in our business. So we'd retarget to people in many different ways. If someone, was maybe used our front end offers, they used our 21 days for $49 as an example, and they decided not to continue. Well, maybe we might leave it a month and we might have a list of those people that we then start doing a retargeting ad to get them interested in coming back in. Doesn't mean they're lost forever. I've worked with businesses that have had people on their email list for 3 years before they made a purchase with them. So don't count people off because they don't make that commitment straight away. You don't know what's happening in their life. You don't know where they're at, how much money they have, how much time they have. You just never know. And that's why we, from a marketing perspective, and you see this obviously a lot whenever you hop on websites, people are always trying to collect your email addresses, your phone numbers, and names. The reason for that is because in many ways, the amount of people that you have on that list that are actually relevant to, in your case, living in your area or whatever, are worth money. They're literally, if you understand how to use that list well, that's potential members sitting there. So we run retargeting ads for people that used to be members, maybe. We put them in a separate list and we upload that to Facebook and say, target these people with this ad. So that's one way of doing a retargeting ad. It's targeting people that used to be members. We can target people that hopped in our website but didn't decide to take us up on our, perhaps our free offer or our front end offer. So we know they're on our website because there's a thing called a Facebook pixel, which is very easy to set up. So Facebook says, hey, this person went on our website but didn't actually interact with our front end offer or our free offer. Let's send them an ad to make sure they re-see this again and they get another opportunity. So they're the sort of ways you do retargeting ads. Look, they're very important for the simple fact that once you know someone's actually clicked and come to your website, you know they've got some sort of interest in what you're offering. So by then coming back with a retargeting ad and changing your offer or redoing the offer in a different way might just be the incentive they need or the helping them make that decision to actually make that final commitment towards your business.
Awesome, thank you. All right, guys, any final questions before we wrap up? Like I said, Adam is an awesome resource and I would definitely recommend taking advantage of him in the best possible way while we're here.
I guess if there's...
Can you just Hannah, can you just put Adam put up these website with the fitbox link earlier? That one. That's all right, I got it right. Didn't know if I wrote it down properly. All good?
So to show you that I'm not just someone that talks about this stuff and doesn't use it, what you're doing there is hopping on my website, putting in your details, which then puts your details into my system. Whether I reach out with you with emails or you unsubscribe straight away or whatever, it doesn't bother me because it gives me insights from when I'm trying to target some gym owners in the future of, hey, target people that look like this. So that's just an example of why you do this stuff. I don't have to be necessarily interested in reaching out to you guys specifically, but because I've got your information and because I'm pretty sure you're going to have a Facebook or Instagram page, I'm going to be able to reach out to a much more targeted audience on Facebook with Facebook ads than I would be otherwise.
Who do you use, Adam, to capture all the emails off your website? Do you use anyone in particular?
I currently use ActiveCampaign. Yeah.
Is that a free one or a paid one?
No, it's paid. I think the base membership is like $9 a month or something. It's very cheap.
Right. What's called ActiveCampaign?
ActiveCampaign. Yeah. There's
Scott,
plenty
I
out
might send you
there.
some information as well on that Journey IQ that I mentioned earlier, which is one of the services you can pay for with your fitbox credit since your gym is on fitbox.
What was that?
We've actually got an ActiveCampaign email automation offering with fitbox credit now.
Oh, right.
So it's just being in its final stages of beta testing at the moment, but it will be available to the marketplace soon. So that might be something you're interested in doing, but it uses that exact same ActiveCampaign infrastructure that Adam's talking about. So yeah.
Cool. Because obviously can it be integrated into the website if we've done our website through you guys?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, best thing I ever did, build a new website. Bloody outstanding.
Can I quote you on my marketing, please?
Oh, just the add-on of random. We'll be getting 5 leads a week just from building a new website with having it all set up correctly. It's made a huge difference in the last what about it 6 weeks.
I was going to say I looked at your numbers when we did the credit settlement and noticed there was a bit of an uptick. So that's great. Great news for you guys.
Been very good.
Amazing.
But
We'll also touch on.
Let us know if that can be integrated into the website at some stage, Hannah.
Yeah, for sure. Once it's finished in its testing phase at the moment. So yeah, definitely. It absolutely will be.
Sounds good.
Cool. And on that note, it's probably a good place to also preview that we will be looking specifically at websites, products in week 7 as well. So we'll be running through with Cody about that. And Scott, I don't remember if you were on that last session or not last time, but if not, jump in. If you have a website or don't have a website at this point, it'll be a really good one to get on. Yep. So we might leave it there. I give you guys a few minutes back in your day. Thank you so much, Adam, for being a part of the Academy yet again and for lending your expertise. Guys, again, if you missed this URL, I will include it in a link in the resources, and this video will be available for rewatching in the portal. If you want to run through anything else, recover off anything that Adam's already spoken about today. You can also reach out to him through his contacts, which we've got up in the portal too. You can reach out to him on LinkedIn or through his own website as well. And if there's no other questions for today, guys, I will see you next Tuesday. Remember, Tuesday, not Wednesday, next Tuesday for our session with Jason Khalifa and the NC Fit Collective guys. We're super excited for that one. So it should be really good. See you all guys there.
Good. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your time, Adam and Hannah.
Thanks so much, guys. See ya.